The Golden Glasses, by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, The Return of Sherlock Holmes. Please share, comment, like or dislike, and subscribe to give us more energy and support us to do more content.
So you think the lady came back this way too? Holmes said. I believe that is right, Hopkins said. That was very clever of her. She had to walk carefully because she couldn't see well. I believe I have seen all I need to hear. Can we go into the house? Since she didn't bring a gun or knife, I don't think she planned to kill anyone. She had to use the professors from the table. As we entered the house, Holmes said, she must have come down this hallway, but she didn't make any footprints here. Then she must have entered this room. Do you know how long she was here? According to the cook, she couldn't have been here more than a few minutes. The cook had cleaned the room only a quarter of an hour before Mr. Smith died, Hopkins answered. If she wasn't here more than 15 minutes, she must have gone to that cupboard by the table. It is the only piece of furniture that is locked. Anything important in this room must be inside it, Holmes continued. Holmes got on his knees and looked closely at the door to the cupboard. He pointed to the door and said, I see a small mark near where you put the key in. Why didn't you tell me about this, Mr. Hopkins? Well, there are not many marks by all keyholes, so I didn't think it was important, said the detective. Understandable, Holmes said, but this mark looks very new. Maybe it was only made yesterday. Is Mrs. Marker here for me to talk to? I am sure she is, Hopkins said. I will go and get her. Shortly later, a sad-faced woman, about 50 years old, came into the room. Sherlock Holmes asked her to take a look at the keyhole and the mark by it. Since she was one of the housekeepers, he thought she would notice if there was a change. Please, Mrs. Marker, he began, can you tell me if this mark was there yesterday when you cleaned the room? I don't think it was, she answered. I am sure you didn't see it, Holmes said. I believe that Mr. Smith, killer, made it trying to get into the cupboard. Can you tell me who has the key? Professor Coram is the only person who has it, and he keeps it in his room, she answered. Is it just an ordinary key? Holmes asked. It is a special key. That's a very strong lock, sir, she said. Thank you very much, Mrs. Marker. That is all I need to ask, he said. Holmes looked at the two of us and said, now we know what happened. The lady went to the cupboard and tried to open it. She must have had a key. When Mr. Smith came in, she tried to take the key out of the lock, making this mark. Smith must have tried to stop her, and the lady picked up the knife. In the struggle, she must have dropped her glasses and didn't know it. When he fell to the floor, she ran out. I believe there are two passages, right? He said. One to the back door and the other to the professor's room. That is correct. There is no way out of the house through the second passage, Hopkins said. We need to go and see the professor now, Holmes said. As we walked toward the professor's room, Holmes stopped and looked at the passage closely. What do you see that is strange here? He said. I don't see anything, Hopkins. They look the same to me. Exactly, Holmes said. The color of the walls and the floors are the same. So what does that mean? Hopkins asked. I'm not sure about it at this time, Holmes said. Let's talk to the professor first. Inside the professor's room we saw that it was large and covered with books. They were everywhere. Some were on the floor in front of the shelves. The bed the professor slept in was in the middle of the room. He was laying in it. He had long white hair and a long white beard. He was a smoker, so the beard near his mouth was dirty and yellow. His hand was also yellow from the cigarettes. The room smelled strongly of cigarette smoke. Empty cigarette boxes lay all over the room. After we introduced ourselves, Professor Coram said, "Do you smoke, Mr. Holmes? These are my favorite cigarettes. I smoke a lot of them because they are so good. Since I can't walk very well or go out, I like to smoke. That is all I have along with my work. I will miss Mr. Smith terribly. He was a good man, and now I can't even work. He did everything for me. I am so sorry about what happened to him." He offered Holmes a cigarette which he accepted and lit. He walked around the room as he smoked it and listened to the professor. "I know you will be able to help us, Mr. Holmes," the professor said. "Thank you so much for coming." The professor began to tell us a little about his work. The book was a history of Egypt. "All I have is my work," he said. And my cigarettes. "I see you like them too, Mr. Holmes. They are from Egypt. I smoke too many, I know, but they are so good." "I see you smoke even faster than I do." Finally the professor finished talking. Holmes asked, "So you were in bed when Mr. Smith was killed?" "That's right," said the professor. "Then since you don't know anything, do you think you might know what his last words meant?" عليكم السلام ورحمة الله. ربي يفتح إن شاء الله. The professor, it was she. "I have no idea," said the professor, "but you must remember, Susan Tarleton is a young girl. Perhaps she didn't understand him. After all, he was dying and maybe not speaking clearly.